We're live. We're live. My producer is giving me the thumbs up, but he doesn't know that his thumb was behind the camera, so I couldn't actually see the thumbs up. So there we go. We are live. Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit about giving student feedback in Google Classroom. The idea being finding ways to give better, richer feedback to your students and do it in a faster, easier way, less time consumed in doing it. I know when I grade assignments, I'm always trying to balance between getting everything done, getting it all graded, and how much feedback I can give. And it turns out that there's a lot of times where, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, I'm making a lot of the same comments over and over again. And sometimes these are things that you would save for class that, you know, next time we're in class, I'm going to make sure I tell them about this because it seems like a lot of students are struggling with it. But sometimes it's just things that students need kind of constant reminders on or a little bit of a pointer on. So for those things, it's nice to be able to have some set feedback that's already ready to go. So I don't have to type it out and reinvent the wheel every time I go to give this kind of feedback. So to begin with, I'm going to take and show you how to give some comments in Google Classroom. You can make comments in Classroom itself, and you can make comments in individual assignments within the assignments as well, depending on what you've assigned and what format it is, whether it's a Google Doc or a Google Form or whatever. So to begin with, we'll take a look at Google Classroom. This right here is a personal account Google Classroom that I've made. So this doesn't have any real student data and whatnot. In fact, I commandeered my family members to play students for us for this video. And I've gone ahead and I've created 3 assignments. One that uses a Google Slides as part of the assignment, one that uses Google Sheets, and one that has a Google Doc involved with it. So we can take a look at the comments that come and go with each of those types of assignments. So to begin with, let's take a look at giving comments, giving feedback just within Google Classroom itself, within Classroom, not within the assignment, but just within Classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the classwork tab and then this Google Docs assignment. This is an assignment that has a Google Doc attached. I created a document that has some questions in it. I assigned it in Google Classroom. I had it make a copy for each student so they have their own copy of the document to make their responses on. And then they submit it, turn it in, and then I can grade it and give comments and feedback and stuff like that. So to begin with, if I want to make a comment back to a student, individual student, so only that student sees it, I'm going to click on their assignment, on their name over here on the left-hand side, and that brings me to a window with just them on the right-hand side, their assignment and their name. And down here at the bottom, you'd almost miss it if you're just going quickly and didn't pay too much attention, but down at the bottom is a place where you can type in comments. And so you can, type whatever you want it to say there, and then hit the little send button on the right-hand side, and it puts up a private comment. Notice that it is labeled it private comment here at the bottom. The student will then be able to see that. They'll be able to respond if need be. If they have another question or whatever, you can carry on a chat conversation back and forth there in those comments. That is separate from the actual document that they turned in. This just lives in Google Classroom. And because it's in Google Classroom, you have, hold on a second. My phone decided to start recording and messed up all my notes. There we go. Because it's in Google Classroom, you have certain things that are available to you that you can do in the comment that are slightly different than what's available in comments within a document or within a Google Sheets or Google Slides and whatnot. So to begin with, you can include hyperlinks. A hyperlink in a comment is a great tool. You have a student that has submitted an assignment and they're struggling with comma usage. You could put a hyperlink, a web address to a web page that either you created on your website or one that is somebody else has created. Maybe it's a YouTube video that talks about comma usage, and you could explain, in your comment, I'd like you to take a look at this document, web page, whatever it is, it explains how to use commas in this situation. And then the link will show up in the address there for your students. So I'm just gonna grab another web address so you can see what that looks like. So I make Comet here, and I'm gonna paste in the web address. And when I hit send, it not only puts my comment there, but it also includes this link that could go to, again, a YouTube video, a web page, a PDF document that lives in your Google Drive, a Google Doc that lives in your Google Drive. So if you have these kinds of things where students typically, multiple students struggle over time with, comma usage, same thing you're explaining over and over again, or maybe it's factoring in math, or maybe it's, identifying forces in science or whatever. You might have a link to a page or document or something like that that explains that concept. You could also put it as a link back to particular page in the textbook. Hey, the information for this is on this page in the textbook, if you have a digital textbook. So very powerful tool there to be able to put in links there. You can include emojis in these comments. This is kind of fun. It makes it a little more interesting for your students. You can sometimes it's hard in a comment, in a text or an email or something like that, to get across an emotion that, hey, this is okay, that, I'm just playing here, or I'm kidding, or I'm, trying to be light about it or something like that. And it's sometimes hard to get across in the text, but if you use an emoji or two, you can get that idea across pretty easily. So what you need to do is you need an extension, and I've linked these down in the comments below. There's two extensions that I'm going to talk about today. One of them is keyboard emoji, or emoji keyboard, sorry. Emoji keyboard by Joy Pixels. This extension basically gives you a clickable palette of emojis, and when you click on one, it automatically copies it to your clipboard, and then you can paste that anywhere you want. This doesn't only work in comments like we're doing today. You could put it into an email, you can put it into a chat message, you can put it into just about anywhere that takes text. So once you install this extension, I'm going to come back here to Classroom and make a comment. Here's the extension up here in the upper right-hand corner behind my picture. This little extension, when I click the extension, it gives me this template full of emojis, and I can pick whatever I want. So I'm going to pick a little thumbs up, and it's already copied to my clipboard. I can come down to the comment and say, good job. And I'm going to paste that thumbs up emoji after it. And then when I post it, it still shows up as a thumbs up there. So you can include in whatever emojis there you want. Gives a little bit of a flair. Gets perhaps your tone across a little bit better than just text. Kind of a cool thing. I just learned how to do that the other day, so I thought that was pretty cool. There's a couple of other things that you can do in other types of comments. So in a comment in a document within the student assignment that I'll get to a little bit later. But another extension that I want to talk about is Textexpander. This allows you to create your own shortcuts for text. So I can type a keyword, like if I type / comma, and I can make it say whatever I want. Then I could have it automatically expand into some text that explains what I want about commas. In my own classes, I've been working quite a bit on getting students to give answers that restate the question and then answer the question and then support their answer. So I have those three parts. It's a known thing in my class. I always talk about restate, answer, and support your questions, your answers. So that's something I don't want to have to keep saying over and over again. I can give them the same reminders on how to do that with this Textexpander, so I don't have to type it out every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest you can go get this extension, this Auto Text Expander. Again, the link is down in the comments below. I'm not sure if that shows up during the live stream or is it? It's in the description box. So yeah, it should be in the description below. If it's not down there right now, it will be as soon as the live stream gets posted later. But the Auto Text Expander, there's a bunch of different ones of these. This is just the ones I use. The emoji thing, same deal. There's a bunch of others out there. If you find one that you like better, great. But this is just the ones that I've been using, and they've been working pretty well. Once you get that installed, I'm going to come back over here to my comments page. I'm going to go to this icon right here, and it's kind of hard to see. It doesn't really show up well on the toolbar, but that's the Text Expander extension. And when I open that up, this is the default on my on my work account. I have a whole bunch of comments already set up for this. Here it shows a bunch of them. Couple of things. It comes with some default ones. I got rid of all those. I made my own. You're welcome to use the default ones if you want. I find that because this works in everything in Chrome, not just in Google Classroom, but everywhere you type in Google Chrome, it's going to be looking for these characters that you type, the shortcut, and replacing that with the text that you have chosen for it to be replaced with. So if I'm typing an email to somebody and I type out the word tardy, and I have an expander that's for the word tardy, and the word tardy turns into the student was tardy for class. That's not going to be what I want necessarily in that situation. So I want to put a special character in front of it. And I chose to use a slash because I don't use a slash for much else anymore, a forward slash. I occasionally use a backslash when I'm doing like copy slash paste when I'm writing that out in instructions, but I don't really use a forward slash very often. So I do forward slash and then a short phrase or short word after that to stand in for the shortcut. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new one real quick. In this box, I will type /QUES for question. And then over here in the text box, I'm going to say, this is the text that will replace that. I'm going to say restate answer and support. Now, in actuality, I would explain this, more, and there's really no limit to how much you can put in there. But this will show you what we're doing here. So I'm going to save that, and then back here in the comments, I can just go. What I say? Question. So /QUES, and it automatically, as soon as I hit the S and it recognizes that string of characters, the /QUES, it automatically replaces it with those words. So I don't have to type that all out. So if I had a couple of sentences of explanation here about how to restate your answer, answer the question, restate the question, answer your question, and support your answer, even including a link to maybe a web page that I've put together that shows some examples, that could all pop up right there, and I wouldn't have to type it all out every time I go do that. So that should save quite a bit of time. Pretty much anytime I find myself typing the same stuff over and over again, I go into the Text Expander and add it to my set of shortcuts to make things go a little bit faster. Again, this doesn't just work in comments. You can do this, the same Text Expander works in email. So if you're saying the same kinds of lines again and again and again to students in your email, for example, I've had a bunch of students recently asking, well, when can I retake that last test? Well, it's the same answer to them over and over again. So I have set up a Text Expander. It's a couple of quick keystrokes, and it puts in a couple of sentences that tells them when I'm available for them to retake that next test. So that should save you a bunch of time. All right, let me jump over and check if we're doing any questions or anything. Seems like we're doing okay. All right, moving on then. commenting in a student assignment. So now we're going to talk about putting a comment into the actual assignment for a student. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to the beginning just so you can follow along how I get there. I'm going to go open the assignment. I'm going to go view assignment. And then I'm just going to click on one of the student's assignments. And it opens in this separate window. If you've graded stuff in Google Classroom before, you've seen this, this window before. It's kind of nice because it allows you to go from one student's assignment to the next without having to go back to this window over and over again. Used to be that you had to open up each student's assignment separately and you were constantly going back and forth between windows, but they made this nice window and you can use the pull down list to choose which student's assignment to grade, or you can just go from one to the next with the arrow buttons here. But I want to focus on giving feedback and comments. So the first thing that I want to do when I go to grade here, and this has nothing to do with comments, but I found it the other day and this was a game changer for me. When you click on the pull down list here, you can sort your list by first name, last name, or status. The default is last name, but I found that when I go through the assignments in order by last name, I have some students that have turned it in and some that haven't, and I end up accidentally grading students' assignments that haven't turned it in. Maybe they're still working on it. I can see their assignment, but I didn't catch that they hadn't actually submitted it. And so then they got a low grade because they weren't finished with it and whatnot. Anyway, if you go up here and click sort by status, then all of the students who have turned it in will be the first ones, and then all the ones that haven't will be after that. So I think that's a better way to go. If you haven't seen that feature before, I'm making a lot of use of that. So do choose that and give it a try. So back to comments. I want to give some feedback to this student. Again, I have the whole restate the question, answer the question, support your answer kind of thing going on. And, you know, I asked a question, what is your favorite ice cream? I got a 2-word answer. So I want to encourage them to go back and expand on that a little bit and put it in some detail. So one of the things I can do is highlight the text, and then over here is a button that shows up. And it only shows up when I highlight some text. When I highlight the text, that button shows up and allows me to make a comment. I can type whatever I want into that box. Here there's a couple of things that you can do, one of which you can't do in the comments just on Google Classroom. I can make things show up bold in this comment by putting asterisks around it. So suppose I want part of this comment to show up bold. I'm going to put an asterisk at one end, an asterisk at the other, and when I click comment, notice that the things between the asterisks show up bold and the asterisks disappear. So you can make some things stand out by doing that. I can also put in emojis. So I can go back up here to my emoji keyboard, grab an emoji, paste that in, and have that. I can also put in hyperlinks, any web URL to any document in my Google Drive, any web address to a YouTube video or anything that's out there. Maybe the student will find this document, for example, helpful, and it turns into a clickable link. So you can include those types of things to enrich your comments, your feedback to students that way. But it gets a little tedious to have to type these in all the time. You can use Textexpander in here just like I did before. So it was slash, what I do? What did I call it? Question, thank you. Was it QUES? Maybe it's QES. Let me go in there and see. It should work just about anywhere. QUES. Maybe it doesn't work. I thought it worked in there. Let me try it again. Okay, well, it's not working in there at the moment. The Textexpander's not. But I have another trick, and that is this question bank over here on the right-hand side of the screen. And I've put in some gibberish comments and whatnot, some examples of types of comments. One of them down here says, restate, answer, and support. Now, I do wish that I could click and make a comment, open the comment box here, and then just click one of these, but it doesn't work that way. You can copy and paste, and that's not too bad. You can click on here where it says comment bank, and the 3 dots next to each comment, I can copy to clipboard that way to put them in. Again, I can use all of the things that I can use to emphasize, like asterisks to bold things. I can put in hyperlinks to put over here, but it's not quite as simple as just click on it. And maybe they'll make that a feature at some point where you can just click on the comment. But there is one more better way. Once you have your comments in there, in the comment bank, if I hit hashtag, so on my keyboard it's Shift-3, I get a list of my comments, and now I can just click them. So that gets around the fact that I can't click them over here in the side, but you have to know that you hit Shift-3 to get that hashtag. For us older folks, that's the number sign or the pound sign on our telephone. That hashtag, and then it gives you your list of questions. If your list of questions gets long, you can start typing and it will narrow your search. So I can go hashtag you, and notice how it's highlighted the U's in the comment, and that'll narrow the list so you can get to it faster. Once I submit that, I got hyperlinks, I got things in bold. I didn't have any emojis in it, but I could have had emojis in there. I could have had all kinds of stuff in there. So for me, that speeds things up a lot. If I'm making a bunch of the same or similar kind of comments, I can have them in a comment bank. I can easily pop them in there and get students the information that they need to better their work. All right, let me check back over on the chat and see how we're doing. Looks good. Melissa, happy thumbs up. Do I prefer the comment bank or Textexpander? Good question. It kind of depends on what I'm doing. The question bank. So if it's something that I'm going to only comment in Google Classroom, only on assignments, then the comment bank is a good way to go. Textexpander works in other places. So I take a lot of teacher notes in Skyward, where I'll make notes about classroom behavior or performance or whatever the student's doing in class. And the comment bank from Google Classroom doesn't carry over to Skyward, but Textexpander does. So if it's something that I want to be able to say in email, then Textexpander is the better way to go. Sometimes I have things that cross over to both. Textexpander will do both, but the comment bank won't. So it just kind of depends on where I think I might be using that comment, that feedback. Good question. All right, next, and these next couple ones will go pretty quickly because they're similar. Google Sheets. This is a Google Sheets assignment. It's got a spreadsheet assignment attached to it. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to open up the assignment. Here I have a spreadsheet from a student. I did the same thing I did with the Google Doc. I created a spreadsheet as a template. When I assigned it in Google Classroom, I said make each student a copy, and then the students put in their data for a lab or something like that they were doing. So there's some numbers here. Perhaps I expected to see a bunch more. I can highlight the cells that I want to comment on. And notice, unlike Google Docs, I don't get a little button over here to make a comment. So I could go up to the toolbar and insert a comment, but there's a quick shortcut to do that. So in all of the Google products, if you can make a comment, there's a keyboard shortcut, and it's on PC and Chromebook, it's Control-Alt-M. If I hit Control-Alt-M, it pops up a box. On the Macs, let me find this real quick just to make sure I get it right. It's Command-Option-M. So highlight whatever you want to comment about. Control-Alt-M on the PC and Chromebook. Command-Option-M on the MacBooks will pop up the box where you can make a comment. And this is the same kind of comment box that we had in the Google Docs. I can do all the same rich kind of feedback in there, like emojis and hyperlinks, bold type, all works exactly the same. I can type in here, where's the rest of your data, and I can make that bold because I really want it to show up, and comment, and there we go. Okay, so same kind of comment feature, and you can highlight one cell, you can highlight a bunch of cells, you can highlight the whole spreadsheet, whatever you want to do there as far as what you want to comment on. All right, back to Google Classroom. And the third type is Google Slides. And again, open up the assignment for everybody. Click on one of the students' assignments. It opens in the same editor. I could use my comment bank. The comments carry across to all assignments. The comment bank does, so I can use those. When you comment in Google Slides, you can select a portion of text. You can select a whole text box. I could comment on that whole box. You can select an image, whatever the pieces are in the slides. But let's suppose I want to make a comment here. Again, notice I don't get over here on the side the little comment box like I did in Google Docs. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut. Again, PC and Chromebook, it's Control-Alt-M. Up pops the box. I can type my comment. I can do all the same things again with emojis, with hyperlinks, with bold type in the comments. One last thing I want to show you is you can tag somebody in these comments. When I tag someone, it's going to specifically notify them that I made this comment. It's going to send them the comment, and it's going to send them an email with the comment, with the text, and say, you know, Mr. Bennett made a comment about this. So I can do one of two ways. There's two characters that make this a tag. So I can do the ampersand. So Shift 2. Notice I get a list of names, and I could say, hey, I want to tag this person. And when I click comment, it's going to notify that person that I made that comment. The other way you can do it is with the plus sign. So this is Shift equals, which is all the way on the right hand side by the backspace key. And again, I get list of people. I could start typing a name and it'll shorten the list, but I can choose to tag somebody else and add them to that comment so that they make sure they see that comment. It's kind of like on social media, Facebook, if you make a comment on something and you want to make sure somebody sees it and sees that post, it will notify them that you made this comment. So good feature to have, especially if you're having students turn in like a group assignment of stuff, and you know that Joey worked on this page or Susie worked on this part over here. You could tag them specifically in the comments to make sure that they see those comments. The last piece of Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Slides, all that stuff is Google Forms. And I use Google Forms quite a bit. The one drawback to Google Forms is it doesn't have this commenting feature. You can't comment in the Google Forms. It's just not the way it's set up. It's a web page and whatnot instead of a document of some sort. So you can't comment in Google Forms on the student's work. But you can put a comment in Classroom for that student's assignment. So the trick is, I found that you've got to train your students to look for those comments in Google Classroom. they often miss that you've made a comment, or at least for me, they miss that I've made a comment in Google Classroom. They get so used to looking for it in their document, in the Google Slides or whatever it is they've been working on, that they forget to look in Google Classroom for that feedback. So if you're going to put feedback in Google Classroom, separate from the document, you really kind of, in my experience anyway, you really kind of need to train your students to look there for that feedback. All right. Any last questions? We're getting towards the end here. Question says, is enabling emojis different on a Mac laptop? The emoji extension that I recommended, it used to be called Emoji 1, so it's called Emoji Keyboard by JoyPixels. This is an extension in Chrome, so it should work across platforms, and it should work the same way, whether you're on a Mac or a PC or a Chromebook, iPad, just about anywhere. So no, it shouldn't be any different on the Mac to use this extension. There may be a different way to get emojis in a keyboard, like on the iPad. I'm sure you can get to emojis in the standard keyboard that's on the iPad. But this is an extension, and so it works across platforms that way. So you don't have to worry about, am I on a Mac, am I on a PC, or whatever. Good question. All right, well, that about does it for this live stream. As always, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Send me an email. I'll hook up with you. If you want a little bit more help on getting some of these extensions going or how to do these web links and stuff like that, I'm happy to help. As always, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon so that you can get notified when we have upcoming live streams and other videos get posted. Until next week, have a good one.